Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Spring 2017 Commencement and Hooding Ceremony of the University of Memphis Cecil C. Humphreys School of Law. Before we begin, please take a moment to turn off or silence your cell phones. Appreciate that. And would you now please stand for the playing of the National Anthem, sung by our very own graduating student, Dylan Holzheimer. Dylan?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So well sung and so tall. Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome to this momentous event, an event that acknowledges and celebrates several years of very hard work by the 95 graduating students who are here to receive their academic hood, having completed the requirements of the Juris Doctor degree. Today's graduates include 2 students who are completing the requirements for the dual JD MBA degree, 1 student who is currently completing the requirements for the MPH degree, and 1 student who is concurrently completing his master's in political science. Additionally, there are 8 students receiving certificates in advocacy, 1 receiving a certificate in business law, 7 receiving certificates in health law, and 3 receiving certificates in tax law. We're privileged to have with us on the stage today several very distinguished university and law school officials, as well as several special guests. Each of these individuals will play an active role in today's ceremony, and I would like to take a moment to recognize each of them, and maybe they can rise as I introduce them. We have the Honorable Charles E. Pizar, who will be our commencement speaker. Professor Kate Shafson, a member of our law faculty and also a member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Memphis. She'll confer the degrees upon the graduates on behalf of the university. We have the president of our law alumni chapter, Richard Glassman, who will serve as pronouncer for the ceremony. We have the president of the university's Alumni Association, Kim Barnett. The president of the Law School Student Bar Association, Sidney Trujillo. And our class speaker, Elizabeth Booker Houston. Let me give you a hand. I'd also like to recognize Assistant Dean for Admissions, Recruiting, and Scholarships, Dr. Sue Ann McClellan, and Director of Diversity, Jacqueline O'Brien and Lindsay Gill, who are serving as our co-marshals at today's ceremony. Thank you to you all as well. Many members of our distinguished law faculty are also here to celebrate this milestone in the lives and careers of their students, and I'd like to recognize them. I'll ask each faculty member to stand when I call your name and to remain standing until all faculty members have been introduced. Professor Linda Black, Jeremy Bach, Ralph Brazier, Amy Campbell, Demetria Frank, Janet Good, Donna Harkness, D.R. Jones, Daniel Keel, Bill Kratzky, Barbara Krachevsky, Ernie Lidge, Boris Mamliuk, Andrew McClurg, John Newman, David Romance, Jody Wilson, and Chris Suisa. I'd now like to introduce Mr. John Bob Ango, a distinguished alumnus of our law school and a member of the Ferris Babenco law firm, who will present the Ferris Babenco Faculty Scholarship Award. John, can you come up and join me on stage, please? Thank you. The Ferris Babenco Faculty Scholarship Award was established in 2011 through the generosity of John's law firm, Ferris Babenco PLC. The award honors outstanding faculty scholarship, and the recipient is selected by the dean in consultation with Ferris Babenco. This year's winner of the Ferris Babenco Faculty Scholarship Award is Professor Andrew McClurg for his article, The Second Amendment Right to be Negligent. Andrew, can you come up and join us on stage? Congratulations to Professor McClurg. Okay. Now I'm pleased to introduce Sidney Trujillo, President of the Student Bar Association, who will make some remarks and introduce the recipients of the Professor of the Year and the Adjunct of the Year awards. Sidney is from Crossville, Tennessee. She's been a very active and productive SBA president who's taken a very special interest in the health of our students. She's an outstanding student herself and someone whom I very much enjoyed working with this past year. I'm confident we'll hear many, many more good things about Sidney in the years to come. Please join me in welcoming Sidney Trujillo.
Wow. Thank you all for being here today. It's such an honor to stand up here before my peers and all of their families and friends. One of the greatest pleasures I had this year serving as the SBA president was working with the faculty very closely. As a 1L in Section 12, as you all know, we're sorted half and half in the class. Walking into contracts our first year, the class was a little scared, a little unsure. And we walk in, we see this tall, young man, just dressed the most hipster you've ever seen. A lot of the students kind of laughed at him because he kept drinking from a mason jar, and it became a running joke for our class as well as the students after us. It was an honor to be the first class to see Professor Newman all the way through 3 years. The 3L class has the opportunity to vote on the professor that they feel deserve the award of the Professor of the Year. There are many reasons why our class selected Professor Newman, but one of them was that he started this journey with us and saw us all the way through. From the Student Bar Association Flaw Review event, where we made fun of him as 1Ls riding a tricycle and being the youngest professor, to donating to the golf tournament and the auction every year, in combination with Professor Campbell raising the most money for the Student Bar 2 years in a row. Congratulations to both of you on that, and thank you. My most fond memory of Professor Newman was actually a year ago today, thanks Facebook. He offered with Professor Campbell a pedal tavern trip for a group of students that won it at the auction. The pedal tavern, as those of you non-Memphians may not know, is a tavern that you ride a bicycle on. So a group of students, along with Professor Campbell and Professor Newman, were able to ride the bicycle, have a couple beers, hang out, get to know each other a little less formally than in the classroom. And my most fond memory of Professor Newman is when he started karaokeing to Backstreet Boys. So here's to you, Professor Newman. Thank you so much for everything you've done for 3 years, and congratulations on behalf of the class of 2017.
Well, thank you. I will not be karaokeing today. All right. So since the first time I stepped foot into a law school classroom on the other side of the podium, I'd been on the student side of the podium before, of course. This was back in fall 2014. I've ever since then more or less constantly been waiting for someone, and back then it was usually Dean Romance, that I pictured, to poke his or her head in the door and say, okay, the joke's over, you can't really be a law professor. And as it turns out, this is actually an incredibly common feeling. It even has a name, Impostor Syndrome. I'm not sure Impostor Syndrome ever really goes away. Even now, I'm picturing someone waiting in the wings with one of those really long hooks to maybe pull me off stage if this goes too badly. That's right, I see you over there. But I'm not sure any of us ever completely shakes that feeling. That said, being chosen as your Professor of the Year does help an awful lot. So thank you. I cannot thank you enough for this. As Sydney said, yours is the first class I've seen all the way through law school, and you occupy a very oversized place in my memory and in my heart. We've made it through first-year contracts together. Half of us made it through. Half of you were fortunate enough to have Professor Mamluk. Though it was at times a bumpy ride, we mastered an almost unbelievable amount of material. I'll never forget nervously sitting down to grade that first set of exams, paging through a couple of them and realizing, oh my God, they learned it. They learned it. Felt very good. Now, as a brand new law professor, I learned quickly that you need to be able to read a crowd, at least a little bit, to figure out whether what you're saying is making any sense at all. And you very quickly learn that some students just sit there with a total poker face. Not helpful at all. Others, though, have incredibly expressive faces. This is much more helpful. Vanessa Murtaugh right now is probably sitting there looking at me like, what is this young man trying to say? Is that even English he's speaking right now? Miss Murtaugh, you'll never know quite how valuable you were that first semester. Of course, some students will just come right out and tell you when they think you're wrong or being an idiot. Mr. Huddleston, I haven't seen you. I'm sure you're out there somewhere. Now, I'll never forget one of my greatest, if not the greatest, lifetime achievements. I actually got Mr. Huddleston to admit he was wrong about something. Now, it only happened once, but it did happen. Thank you, Mr. Hillis. You were our moral compass. I designated you as such for the semester, and then I promptly fired you. I can't remember what it was for. I suspect it had something to do with gambling on March Madness games. But we made it through. Then in Conflict of Laws, I got the chance to meet and teach more of you. It was a wonderful class. We got to ponder some of life's great questions, like why didn't my friends who took Newman for contracts tell me not to take his classes? A few of you even signed up for my antitrust law course. Thank you. Robert Newsom, for example, signed up even after I called on him every single day in conflicts. And of course, Pablo Davis is among you right now, probably itching to raise his hand and ask what the policy implications behind this speech are. There aren't any. But that does bring up a slightly more serious point. Throughout our 3 years together, you all have taught me a great deal. This class is unique, with its own very distinctive cast of characters and character traits. You persevere, for one thing, even when you're dealing with a brand new professor who calls on you every day or who's teaching a course for the first time. You bring to the table a wealth of real-world experience in the armed services, running your own businesses, and more. You bring impressive academic credentials, and you're leaving with another. Though you are a class of big personalities, you work together. We may have taken 3 full days to learn UCC 2-207, but we did it, and we did it together. You even got your puffy hats for graduation, all together. You have a fierce sense of pride in your law school and your city, and an awe-inspiring amount of loyalty to your friends and to your colleagues. I want you to carry that forward. Keep one another accountable, help each other along during your studies for the bar this summer, and for the next several decades as members of a proud tradition and a noble profession. I expect great things of all of you, and I am certain that you will wildly surpass even my highest expectations. Thank you.
Our class also voted for the Adjunct of the Year. Judge Ward was selected by our class for numerous reasons. Not all of us had the chance to take his class for Crim Pro 2. I was one of the lucky ones. I was able to sign up. In that class, Judge Ward teaches us a lot of things about criminal law. One of the most valuable things of being a Memphis Law student is that our community is so close to the actual legal world. Judge Ward is in the courtroom right across the street from us. He was available anytime we had questions. He was caring. He taught us about criminal law. Even those students who weren't interested in criminal law were able to learn a great deal from him. It is such an honor to have a judge who is able to mold students into young attorneys. It was a privilege to be in your class. I know you joke that you never fail any of us, but we learned a great deal, and with your wisdom, none of us could have possibly failed. Thank you for your knowledge and teaching all of us for all the years that you've been an adjunct professor, and we hope to see you around again. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you all very much, and congratulations, class of 2017.
Before I introduce our commencement speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize 2 of our law school faculty members. First, Professor Chris Suisa. Chris, could you stand for a moment? As I expect most of you already know, this commencement ceremony will be the last one in which we have the pleasure and honor of having Professor Suisa as a member of our full-time faculty. Professor Suisa joined our faculty in 2002 as an assistant professor of clinical law. She became associate professor in 2004 and full professor in 2010. Throughout her time at the law school, she has served as the director of our Child and Family Litigation Clinic, supervising specially licensed third-year student attorneys in areas such as abuse and neglect, delinquency, education, mental health, public benefits, guardianships, adoptions, and administrative matters. Professor Suisa is widely respected by members of the faculty and the students alike for her teaching, her scholarship, her devotion to professionalism, her zealous advocacy on behalf of children, and her concern for our students. She also leaves behind at the law school a wonderful tribute to her devotion to public service. the Alternative Spring Break program, which she initiated with our Public Action Law Society in 2010, and which continues to grow and thrive every year. On behalf of our entire law school community, I'd like to express our deep appreciation to Professor Suisa for her long, dedicated, and productive service to the School of Law, and also wish her a rich, rewarding, and well-deserved retirement. Please join me in a much-deserved round of applause for our teacher and colleague, Professor Chris Suisa. The second faculty member I'd like to recognize is Professor Daniel Keel, and I only told him about this a few moments ago. So Daniel, could you stand up as well? Professor Keel isn't retiring, so that's not the news for him. But he did receive a tremendous honor last month, which merits mention at this commencement ceremony. Each year, 4 members of the university faculty are presented with the Distinguished Teaching Service Award in recognition of the high quality of their teaching. The selection procedures prescribe that students, faculty, and alumni be given the opportunity to nominate faculty members who meet certain eligibility requirements. Nominations are screened by the Distinguished Teaching Service Awards Committee, and 20 faculty members receiving the largest number of nominations are notified. If they desire to participate, they are evaluated by their students and the department chair or dean, and 4 are selected to receive the university's prestigious Distinguished Teaching Service Award. I'm very pleased to announce that Professor Daniel Keel was among the 4 university-wide winners for the 2016-2017 academic year. Congratulations, Daniel. It's a wonderful award. It's now my privilege to introduce our commencement speaker, the Honorable Charles E. Pizar. Judge Pizar was born in the Bronx, New York, and grew up in suburban New Jersey. He attended Boston University, where he graduated magna cum laude with distinction in political science in 1974, and he graduated from Rutgers University School of Law, Newark, in 1977. Following law school, Judge Pizar clerked for the Honorable Charles R. DeGisi of the Superior Court of New Jersey, and then served from 1978 to 1987 as an Assistant Chief Counsel with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. From 1987 to 1989, he was Associate General Counsel with the Immigration and Naturalization Service, and in 1989 and 1990, he was affiliated with Kellogg, Krebs, and Moran in Fairfax, Virginia. In 1990, Judge Pizar joined the Office of Immigration Litigation in the Civil Division of the United States Department of Justice, where he concluded his service in 1998 as a Senior Litigation Counsel. Up until this point in his career, Judge Pizar had lived and worked in the Washington, D.C. area. But to our good fortune, Judge Pizar joined us in Memphis in 1998 when Attorney General Janet Reno appointed him as Memphis's very first immigration judge. Judge Pizar has now served as a judge on the Memphis Immigration Court for 19 years. He's a frequent speaker at CLE presentations of the Federal Bar Association, the Tennessee Bar Association, and the Memphis Bar Association, and he's also written numerous articles on immigration law and procedure and served as a judge for a number of moot court competitions. Judge Pizar is married to Dr. Janice Pond Pizar, who serves as a psychologist at the West Clinic, and they have 2 children, Sarah, who practices law with Hall Booth Smith in Memphis, and Elizabeth, who is a land use consultant with Master Plan in Dallas, Texas. We're fortunate to have Judge Pizar not only as a member of the judiciary here in Memphis, but also as a member of our adjunct faculty at the law school, where he has taught immigration law for us since 2009. We're especially fortunate to have him with us today as our commencement speaker. So please join me in welcoming the Honorable Charles Pizar.
Dean Letsu, Professor Shafson, faculty, administrators, graduates. I am honored to speak to you today. Because I am speaking in my personal capacity with disclaimer, I need to tell you that the opinions I express are my own and not necessarily those of the Executive Office for Immigration Review or the Department of Justice. Congratulations to everyone on this joyous day. Graduates, welcome to the club. Give yourselves a round of applause. You have indeed earned the Juris Doctor degree. Parents, spouses, significant others, and loved ones of the graduates, thank you for your patience and support during this long and sometimes difficult journey. And graduates, a round of applause for the people who made it possible for you to graduate today. Graduates, as you begin your legal career, I humbly offer 3 rules for the successful practice of law. These rules are based on my years of trial and error, mostly error, in the ways of the law. I have been a lawyer for 40 years and an immigration judge for 19. I have taught at this law school and at the University of Mississippi, and have worked at a number of jobs to keep the wolf away from the door. I understand that time does not stand still, yet how can it be that one of my students from Ole Miss was recently appointed as an immigration judge when I'm only 28 years old? These rules are based on watching lawyers grow in their skills and mature in their professional life. If your legal education was like mine, it fell a little short sometimes on practical application. I hope these suggestions fill some of those gaps. Rule 1, do not cross-examine your spouse. We are all impressed with how well you did in trial advocacy. But I suggest that a dialogue like this may not work out to your advantage. You, have you taken the garbage out? Spouse, I will, no rush. You, this requires a simple yes or no answer. Have you taken the garbage out? Spouse, what is wrong with you? You, I ask the questions here. What could possibly go wrong with that? Rule 2, your reputation is everything. Yes, it may be a cliche, but it is a cliche grounded in truth. Nowhere is your reputation more important than in your dealings with the courts. That does seem obvious, but I am chagrined to learn that some lawyers treat staff in the courts with disrespect. Whether those folks are called legal technicians, as they are in the immigration court, or deputy clerks, or secretaries, they are the professionals who make courts and agencies work. I was upset to hear about a recent law graduate, and I'm sure this person did not graduate from the University of Memphis, who was heard berating a deputy clerk in one of our local courts, telling her that he only spoke to lawyers. Ouch. Please don't be so arrogant that you forget that these hardworking professionals are called support staff because they support, that is, work with, that is, interact on a daily basis with the very judges you are trying to dazzle. Did that arrogant young lawyer not think that the deputy clerk he was berating would not tell the judge she worked for about his obnoxious behavior? Judges know who is respectful of staff and who is not. Since I am here speaking to you, I have permission to offer you a war story. 1,000 years ago, or it might have been 500 years ago, but who's counting? I worked for the Justice Department, Civil Division, Office of Immigration Litigation, and I had occasion to argue a case in the First Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston. In my job, I interacted frequently with the staff of the First Circuit. In this case, my client wanted a matter remanded to correct a pretty obvious error. The afternoon before I made the motion, I called opposing counsel to tell him that I would be making this motion, and he was none too pleased. I suspect that he smelled blood and wanted his day in court. Maybe also wanted something under the Equal Access to Justice Act. I served the motion on the court that morning of the argument, and when it was my turn to argue, I simply stood up and said, my client wanted a remand, members of the panel. Opposing counsel very vigorously opposed this motion, going so far as to interrupt a federal judge. That's another subpart of this rule. Don't interrupt the federal judge. When I stood up in rebuttal, one of the judges on the panel said, Mr. Pizarro, we would not ordinarily grant a motion like this, but we know the way you practice law. Motion is granted. Now, my interactions with the judges of that court were quite limited, having argued in Boston only once or twice before. However, my interactions with support staff were very frequent. Yes, judges know how lawyers behave to support staff. And so I repeat, your reputation is everything. Rule 3, be true to yourself. A few weeks ago, I went to my law school class's 40th reunion in lovely Newark, New Jersey. Now, look around you today, graduates, and try to guess which of your classmates in 40 years will become judges, partners in major firms, assistant district attorneys, a United States senator, my class had one of those, or the guy that retired early and sailed around the world in a 40-foot sailboat. If I didn't get seasick, I would say that was very close to nirvana. Anyway, I asked some Rutgers law students what they would like to hear from a commencement speaker. One student said that they would like to hear from me to remind you all of why you went to law school in the first place. To try to answer that question, let me ask you this. Notice how the Socratic method kind of creeps in even in a commencement address. Please, by show of hands, how many of us have enjoyed Overton Park? Yeah. We have taken our four-legged family members to the dog park, walked the old-growth forest, knocked around a couple of golf balls, maybe even had our engagement pictures taken there. Graduates, how many of you have read the decision in Citizens to Preserve Overton Park v. Anyone can say that. Citizens to Preserve Overton Park versus Volpe in your classes in environmental law or administrative law or federal courts? How many have read the Citizen? Good. While as lawyers, we want to parse that decision, let me suggest that there is a more important issue and bigger news that case gives to us. And that is that a group of dedicated, impassioned citizens, led by equally dedicated and impassioned lawyers, worked to stop a highway from obliterating a treasure in the very heart of our city. We are enjoying, years and years later, the results of the hard work and dedication of those attorneys. Friends, there is a world of opportunity for you to put your dedication to work. Margaret Mead, the noted anthropologist, said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world." She was right. As lawyers, you are able to do so much. You have been trained to think logically and clearly. You have been trained to speak and write concisely and eloquently. You have been trained to represent clients boldly yet wisely. Let's put that training to work for those who need you. In my own court, I see unrepresented respondents who desperately need legal help. They cannot speak English. Many of them are uneducated and cannot read or write in any language. They do not know their way around our legal system, and some have fallen victims to the so-called notarios, who are not lawyers at all, but shysters willing to take money from the vulnerable. So many of the respondents in immigration court have complicated stories to tell the judge. They all need lawyers. Are you willing to help? Are you willing to help? Please take a few cases pro bono in the immigration court. Listen to the stories. Help fill out the applications for relief from removal. And prepare your clients for trial. Then come to court and put those advocacy skills to work. Now, of course, there's no guarantee that you will win. But by ably representing respondents in immigration court and any other tribunal, you will help fulfill the promise of justice and fairness for all who appear in our courts and tribunals. The examples I give are drawn from my experiences with the immigration court. But we all know that the opportunities for giving back are legion. Please consider some kind of pro bono work. You will be gratified, and the results could be life-changing for your client. In closing, let me tell you that nothing makes me happier than seeing a former student ably representing a client in my court. That lawyer knows how to disagree with the judge and with opposing counsel without being disagreeable. My favorite line in the law is reasonable minds can differ. That lawyer has been polite to our hardworking staff and filed the application and supporting documents on time. I only hope counsel did not cross-examine their spouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Pizarro, for that timely, sage, and inspirational advice. To memorialize this occasion, I'd like to present you with a small gift on behalf of the law school and especially on behalf of the graduating class. We've now reached the portion of the program entitled Dean's Remarks and the Presentation of Candidates. I note in the copy of the script I was given this morning that Dean's Remarks is in very small type, and Presentation of Candidates is in large, bold type with underlining, so I will be brief. Today is called Commencement Day for good reason. It's a new beginning for our graduates who will soon face new challenges, not least of them the bar exam later this summer. But it's also the end of 3 years of formal legal education here at the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law, and for most of our graduates, the end of 20 or even more years of formal education. So it's both an end and a beginning for our soon-to-be graduates. The end of a sometimes stressful 3-year period of legal education, which hopefully included many good times as well, and the beginning of their legal careers. The members of this great class of 2017 begin their legal careers during a time of great transformation in our economy, in our society, and in the legal profession. To prepare our graduates for the challenging world they're about to enter, the faculty has worked them very hard during their 3 years in law school. Not because the faculty enjoys seeing students struggle, though in the early days of law school you may have felt that way, but because we understand the challenges our students face and we want to do everything we can to ensure that they, like their many predecessors over the last half-century, are prepared to lead professional lives marked by accomplishment, meaning, and lasting contributions to society. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to report that the students who are sitting here today have satisfied the very high standards the School of Law has set for them. The fact that they are here with us today is proof not only of their high aptitude, but also of their hard work, their perseverance, and their commitment to improving society. It's evidence of their ability and fitness to fulfill the heavy obligations that the legal profession places on its members, and of their capacity to serve their clients, their communities, and the public with honor and distinction. Members of the class of 2017, congratulations. You have every reason to be proud of your accomplishment. We know you sacrificed much for this day. Today, we honor not only your efforts and sacrifices, but also your outstanding achievements. But we also know that no one succeeds alone. So we would be remiss if we stopped here and did not also honor those who have helped you succeed. And now I'm not speaking of your professors or law school staff members, though they are certainly deserving of your thanks as well. Instead, I'm speaking of your families and friends, parents, grandparents, children, siblings, other relatives, loved ones, and friends who provided you with material, moral, and emotional support, as well as companionship and friendship during your years in law school. So on behalf of the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law and the University of Memphis, I'd like to express our deep thanks to all the family and friends of our soon-to-be graduates, those who could be with us here today and those who could not. Thank you for helping these graduates succeed in law school. Thank you for being our partners in the task of producing these soon-to-be outstanding lawyers. Thank you all. Now back to our graduates. You now enter a noble profession, a profession that gives you the ability, as Judge Pizarro noted, to change people's lives, indeed to change society and the world. With this great power, however, comes an even greater responsibility, to use your skills as lawyers not simply to better your own lives, but to better the lives of others. I know all of you will live up to the noble aspirations of our profession and will be outstanding servants of the clients and communities you serve. We're all very proud of you, and I'd like to congratulate you all once again on a job very well done. Congratulations. It's now my pleasure to introduce Professor Kate Shafson. Professor Shafson joined our law faculty in 2009 after serving for 3 years as an assistant professor at the University of North Dakota School of Law. Especially significantly for this occasion, Professor Shafson was chosen overwhelmingly by her university faculty colleagues to serve as a trustee on the university's new Board of Trustees, which held its inaugural meeting in March of this year. Professor Shafson will confer the Juris Doctor degree on each of the graduates. Afterwards, Professor John Newman will assist Professor David Romance in placing the academic hoods on each graduate as Richard Glassman, the president of our Law Alumni Association, introduces the graduates. So I give you Professor Shafson.
All of the graduates of the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen of the graduating class of the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law at the University of Memphis, with the approval of the faculty of the School of Law and upon the certification that you have fulfilled all of the requirements for graduation, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees as trustee of the University of Memphis, I am pleased to confer the Juris Doctor degree upon you and declare that you are now entitled to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of appertaining thereto. We take great pleasure in presenting you with the academic hood for the Juris Doctor degree as evidence of your accomplishment. You may be seated.
Will the first row of graduates please rise and come forward? Rachel Ann Backowitz. Stephanie G. Barish. And Ms. Barish is being hooded by her father, Stanley Less. Congratulations, Stanley. Nathaniel A. Bishop. Melizio A. Borelli. Jacob Webster Brown. Tara D. Brown. Tyler C. Brown. L. Dan Buchanan. Zachary J. Burkhalter. Caroline Marie Burris. Lucas J. Cameron Vaughn. Congratulations. Dawn W. Campbell. M. That's M. Campbell. Kimberly Jo Carter. Ryan B. Chambers. Sure? Okay. Hank Clower. Erica N. Coleman. Clarissa Julianne Coniff. Carter O. Critchfield. Alessandra E. Davey. Pablo J. Davis. Christian Joy Downey. William M. Edmonds, and Mr. Edmonds is being hooded by his father, Mark D. Edmonds. Jordan M. Emily. Mohammed Farah. Ashley Nicole Brittany Finch. What is this? Olivia, Suzanne Garber. She folded it up. David C. Garrett, Jr. Dylan J. Gillespie. Lyle W. Gruby. Matthew J. Hausman. Garrett D. Hayes. How you doing? Neil A. Hillis. Ross Barton Hogenkamp. Holzimmer. Dylan M. Holzimmer. Jacob A. Horn Malcolm. Elizabeth Booker Houston. Bobby G. Huddleston, Jr.
Stan G. Just the way it looks.
Sam G. K. Jeharaman, and Mr. Jeharaman is being hooded by his father, Dr. K. Jeharaman. Kyle D. Johnson. Mr. Johnson is being hooded by his brother, Kevin Johnson. Zachary B. Johnson. Jackie H. Jones. Jeffrey Grant Keller. What did you do to him? Margaret Ann Kelly. Esperanza A. King. Okay, the next one is special. Chelsea Kiss Knox being hooded by her grandmother, Wanda W. Cross. Think I can get it? I can do it. Shrushi Y. Kuthari. That's tough. Sarah Suzanne Lamb. Stephanie Lang. Christopher Michael Lewis. William W. Lipsey. Nancy Christina Long. Regina Lee Lucraziano. Brianna Aaron Lynch. Kendra Ann Lyons. Justin M. Mantell. David W. Mashburn. Christopher A. Miller. Vanessa R. Murtaugh. Devin C. Muse. Matthew T. Nordvet.
They told me you didn't make it.
Taylor Ray Oyes. Madison Claire Patey, and Madison is being hooded by her father, Mark Patey. Shelby M. Patrick. Megan Rianne Peaks. Alexis M. Petty. William C. Podesta. Charles M. Purnell. Megan Mackenzie Reed. Craig B. Richardson. Ashley Robinson. Gail B. Robinson, Jr. Danielle M. Salton. Andrew E. Self. Andre Sina. Ralph K. Shelton. Anisha Sheath. Shelby Nicole Smith. Holly Jean Stanford. Robert M. Steele. Joseph Z. Stevens. Stephanie Marie Tash. Nassanette T. Meskin. Dylan P. Thornberry. Callie M. Tran. Congratulations. Sydney L. Drillo. Chanel Tyler. Patrick A. Wagner. I want to go where they're going after the graduation. Brandon T. Wallace. Kelsey R. Walton. Matthew Michael Weiner. Christina A. West Coleman. Are you last? Last but not least, Hunter K. Yoches. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you with the 2017 graduating class of the University of Memphis Cecil C. Humphreys School of Law.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Where did Richard go? There he is. Richard Glassman has been an enthusiastic, unflagging, and extremely effective advocate for the law school in his year as president of the law chapter of the Alumni Association, so much so that we're having him back next year for a second run and a second year of service in 2017-2018. I very much enjoyed working with Richard during his first year as president. Look forward to working with him again next year, and would like to thank him now for his friendship, his support of our law school, and his service to our law school and the university. Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate it. So let me also try that phrase out again. The 2017 graduating class. Sounds very nice, doesn't it? Let's give them one more hand. Graduates, you can now switch your tassels from the right side to the left side, signifying that you've completed the job and completed it very well. Congratulations. Now it's my honor to introduce Kim Barnett, the president of the university's Alumni Association, who would like to say a few words to the graduating class. Kim.
Thank you, Dean. Good afternoon. Oh, we can do a little better than that. Good afternoon. There we go. There we go. Good afternoon, class of 2017. Let me be one of the first to say congratulations from the University of Memphis National Alumni Association. On behalf of more than 167,000 alumni of our great university, congratulations on your accomplishment. Today marks the beginning of an exciting chapter in your journey. You are now a part of the True Blue Tiger family, a prestigious community that stretches across the nation and around the globe. You now join the ranks of alumni that include such notable alums as Trey Hargett, our Tennessee Secretary of State, David Lillard, our Tennessee State Treasurer, Attorney Donald Godwin, Judge Bernice Donald, U.S. 6th Circuit, easy for me to say, U.S. 6th Circuit Court of Appeals, Judge Diane Vescovo, a Chief Magistrate Judge, Anthony Penny Hardaway, former NBA player, D'Angelo Williams, Stephen Gostkowski, and Paxton Lynch, noted NFL players. Also, the Honorable Jim Strickland, Mayor of Memphis, and our 8th Congressional District Congressman, David Kustoff. As a congratulatory gift, the Alumni Association is pleased to present each of you with a complimentary first-year associate membership to the Alumni Association. So, as you leave campus to share your talents with the world, the University of Memphis National Alumni Association will be right beside you, keeping you connected to your alma mater. As an alum, I am asking you to speak well of your alma mater, to send your children and grandchildren to the University of Memphis, to stay engaged through alumni activities, and give to the university when you can. Always remember, wherever you are, you're a Memphis Tiger, you are our future, and you are True Blue. Go Tigers!
Traditionally, at the spring commencement, first thank you, Kim, for your rousing words. Traditionally, at the spring commencement ceremony, a student is selected by the graduating class to make an address. This year, the graduating class selected Elizabeth Booker Houston. Please join me in welcoming her to the podium, your classmate Elizabeth Booker Houston.
Good evening, friends, family, faculty, and fellow graduates. I am so excited to stand up here today and speak to you, and not just because being class speaker is a great honor, but also because that means law school is over, and thank God for that. No, I'm very serious. I barely made it out alive. Graduation is defined as that part of the healing process in which lumpy pink tissue containing new connective tissue and capillaries forms around the edges of a wound. Wait. Oh, crap. Sorry, I think I accidentally got the definition for granulation. Oh well, a healing wound, 3 years of law school, that's about the same thing. I do want to point out that I can give credit to Zachary Johnson and Dylan Gillespie for that joke, thanks to their love of The Office. So you can blame them for that one. Anyways, I am thrilled to speak today, not just because it is an honor, but because as class speaker, I get this really fancy seat in front of everybody on the stage. You see, my last name is Houston, so if I had to sit in the crowd, I would have to sit next to none other than the infamous Bob Huddleston. Look, 2 hours is a long time, people, okay? There's only so many dirty jokes and references to old stuff from before I was born that I can take. What I'm trying to say is, Bob is old. But Bob is also a dear friend, and I have been lucky to make a lot of friends here. Like Devin Muse, who somehow always knows where the free food is, which is actually a really useful skill. And then there's Tara Brown, who's a crazier cat lady than me. So when I throw a birthday party for my cats and invite everybody at the law school, I feel a little less pathetic. And then there's Stephanie Tash, who I can always count on for the perfect Facebook GIF to describe exactly what our final exam misery is like. Let's see. Stephanie, where are you at? Hashtag deliver us to graduation, right, girl? Yeah, we made it. We're here. And then who can forget Dr. Gilbert Stock, who isn't here today? But yeah, he's graduating with us, and you heard that right. Dr. Gilbert Stock. You know, because if we don't already feel really bad enough about ourselves, we had to sit in law classes with this guy who was breezing his way through when he's already an engineer and a doctor. So, way to make us feel mediocre, man. Thanks, wherever you are. But I do love these people, and I've made so many friends who I will never forget. I wish I could tell all of my stories about everybody, but then we would be here all night long. And if you didn't know, our law class is the most diverse class in the history of Memphis Law, and it really does show. And I do have to mention the professors, who are pretty cool themselves. I remember the first time that I walked into Professor Ralph Brazier's property law class, and all I could think was, oh, okay, property law with this old guy? How am I going to stay awake through this? I know. Yeah, obviously I misread him, because we all know that Professor Brazier is one of the most hilarious people on earth, and he is so passionate about teaching that no subject will ever be boring with him. And then the following spring, I met Professor Daniel Shafson, who isn't here, but his wife can relay this story to him. I've never met someone who had so much energy. It kind of confused me for a moment, because lawyers are supposed to be insanely miserable. Not going to lie, I was really, really suspicious of him. Nevertheless, I trusted Professor Shafson to place me in my first summer externship. And then that first job gave me the skills to get a second job, and then every opportunity after. And I have Professor Shafson to thank for that from his experiential learning program, which you can all tell him I gave him a plug, okay? And then that same spring is when I first met Professor Barbara Kuchevsky, aka Coach K. She judged me in the freshman moot court competition, and by judged, I mean she yelled at me, and she let me know exactly how stupid my argument was. I was so irritated, I never wanted to talk to that woman again. So naturally, I joined 2 of her travel teams. And then I partnered with her to help write a moot court problem. Coach K has actually been an amazing mentor, and I'm a better writer and a better advocate because of her, and I can't thank her enough for that. And I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to acknowledge Professor Amy Campbell. As many of you know, I came to Memphis Law specifically because of the health law program, and Professor Campbell is the reason that that program is as amazing as it is. She has given us health law students some of the best educational opportunities And you can tell that all of her hard work is because she really does care about seeing every one of us succeed. I truly do appreciate her passion and her guidance, even when it's football season and she won't stop talking about Notre Dame. This is the Southeastern Conference, okay? You got to roll tide at the Rocky Top with a woo pig or you got to go. But Professor Campbell has been wonderful, and she even encouraged me to work in the Medical Legal Partnership Clinic supervised by Professor Janet Good. Janet Good is one of the newest professors here at Memphis Law, but she has already made a great impact with her devotion to her students and to her clinic. I'm also convinced that she's a saint, because this semester she had me and Kelsey Walton as her advanced clinic students, and I don't know anyone who could stand to have the two of us in the room together for more than 5 minutes. So bravo to Professor Good for that accomplishment. All of our professors here have truly made a remarkable impact on our lives, and I have a story about each one, but ain't nobody got time for that. So instead, I will just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without each of you investing your time and your energy into us, we wouldn't be here. And if by some chance we did get here without you, that would be really, really bad, because I know for certain that not one of us would be competent enough to be anybody's lawyer. Rule 1.1 of professional responsibility. Am I right, Professor Lidge? Professor Wilson? I got it? Okay, good. And I want to leave you all with a quote from one of the greatest attorneys in history, Olivia Pope. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you have to try. Because if you try, if you leap and you try and it doesn't work out, it's not on you. Granted, Olivia was talking about a relationship or something because scandal, but this is still a really good quote for us today. Because I hope that when we all leave this evening, every one of us has the confidence to take what we have learned and try. I want all of us to take a leap of faith to try to make the impossible possible and remember the reasons that we came to law school in the first place. So to my fellow classmates, the University of Memphis Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law, class of 2017, I want to say congratulations. We did it!
Thank you, Liz, and thank you to all of our students, all of our graduates. This is your day. For most of you, this is the last day of your school life after 2 decades or more of schooling. Over those many years, you've accumulated an enormous amount of knowledge, and you're now ready to put that knowledge to good use for the benefit of your clients and society. This is truly a day of tremendous accomplishment. But all of us assembled here today, your teachers, your families, your friends, know that many more, even greater accomplishments are sure to follow. So once again, congratulations to the class of 2017. As we send you off today, we want to remind you that your relationship with the law school and the university does not end today. You will be University of Memphis alumni forever, and your accomplishments will bring honor to your law school and university and pride to our students, faculty, and alumni. So stay in touch. Give us a call, send us an email, friend us on Facebook, or like us on LinkedIn. In turn, we'll stay in touch with you and do our best to help you and guide you whenever we can throughout your careers. Let me conclude this evening by expressing my great appreciation for some key members of our staff. In particular, if they're out front, if they could stand, in particular, Assistant Dean Meredith Aiden, who organized today's events. And I also want to thank Carol Landers, Bridget Boyd, Lindsay Gill, Josie Holland, Kara Phillips, and Archie Shelton, and all of our student volunteers who've assisted off stage in these commencement ceremonies. And I'd also like to thank the Bluff City String Quartet for the music they provided for today's ceremony. So please join me in giving all of them a hand. I ask that you remain seated during the recessional as the platform party, the faculty, and the graduates exercise. Thank you. Good evening, and to all the mothers with us here this evening, an early Happy Mother's Day. Have a great night. Thank you very much.